Hello and welcome to Punks for Progress. My name is Punker Mike. I'm coming to you from the suburbs of Southern California. Joining me, as always, from Reno, Nevada, lead singer of Convolusionairs, anarchist Aaron Alvarez.
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Hey, good morning, Aaron. Follow us on Twitter at Punks for Progress. That's at Punks, the number 4, Progress. Subscribe to our YouTube page at Punks for Progress. And like and share our page on Facebook, please. Punks for Bernie. So, I apologize for being hoarse today. I was at X Friday night, and I yelled and screamed at Billy Zoom. But I did finally get his attention.
You did?
Yeah, I finally got him to look at me, and I'm waving my hands, Billy, Billy, and he finally looked at me, and I gave him like 2 thumbs up because I was so stoked that he was there. So it was a good show.
So did he stay on the stool pretty much the whole time?
The whole entire time. But what does he do anyways? He just stands there and plays the guitar.
Oh, sure.
Right. So he just stood there and played guitar, and he'd look around, and it's kind of hard to tell how he was feeling. He looked like he was having fun. He was rocking. You know who was rocking? You know who tore the stage up was Dave Alvin.
Oh, yeah.
He shredded those guitar strings, bro. I mean, it was just incredible to see this guy just rocking. Phil hasn't aged quite so well. He was looking a little rough around the edges, but still just a great show. They sound just like they did back in '81 when your auntie and I went and saw them, and they opened for the Go-Go's at the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, how do you like that show, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, and I've seen them a couple times, and they're always just perfect. I've never seen a bad Blaster show.
No,
Yeah.
And Los Lobos did a great job, too.
Did they do La Bamba?
They did La Bamba. They did, right? They did Oyo Como Va, and they was blended in with another one. And Papa Was a Rolling Stone. So they kind of blended all 3 of those songs in together. I wish they would have done more. They did Kiko and the Lavender Moon. I wish they would have done some more of the earlier stuff, They did do Don't Worry Baby. Well, don't worry, baby. That one, just a rocking song. Yeah, it was like 83, I think, is when that one was. But they didn't do, I like Will the Wolf Survive or One Night, One Time in America, nothing like that. But still a good show.
Well, we can talk about that more in our second segment.
Well, absolutely. So,
because we have depressing politics to discuss, do we not?
Well, I don't know. I mean, sure, the beginning of the week sure sounded a little depressing to me. I mean, without even watching corporate media, you could just see that the whole energy, the whole momentum, I probably shouldn't use that word momentum, but the whole energy basically kind of shifted towards, a general with Hillary and Trump. And it's like, whoa, back the fuck up. We still have one more person in this. One of my friends on Facebook was, she was shared a picture, and it was this little kid sticking a knife in a socket. And it's like, this year's election is like, what, top socket or bottom socket? And I got on there and I said, hey, there's still one candidate. Hey, there's another candidate out there. I said, feel the burn, Linda. So, and she just sent me a smiley face. She wasn't going to get into it with me, but if people actually.
Well, and the narrative changed from, shouldn't he just get out to, he has absolutely no chance to win. There is zero possibility for him to win the nomination. And it's like, well, it's considerably smaller, And
wait, what does the guy on the Young Turks keep saying? Billy Kennedy was shot in June. Bobby, that's right. Bobby Kennedy was shot in June, so anything can happen is basically what he's saying.
Well, and the reason that's significant is because the last thing Bobby Kennedy said from the stage that day was, "Now it's on to California and let's win there."
Interesting.
So and then he gets his little peace sign and fixes his hair in the Kennedy way there, always fixing their hair, and then walks off with Rosie Greer, and gets shot by Sirhan Sirhan, which, who knows, may have been a Manchurian candidate, may not have been a Manchurian candidate. We don't know.
Now, see, that's something you have to educate me on. I don't think I ever saw that movie. I don't think that was a movie that I was interested in back in the 70s, I believe, when it came out.
Well, there's two
So,
versions now because Denzel did a remake of it that's actually really good. But the one with Frank Sinatra is just incredible. It's very stylized and it has a real kind of artistic feel to it. Really, really great movie. And but so what the gist of it is there's these it's a platoon of military guys in World War II, and or it might even be Korea. I don't remember. It might be Korea. But anyway, they get kidnapped, right, by a bunch of communists, and then get brainwashed to be assassins for the hammer and sickle. Okay, and then one of the guys, who's the kind of platoon leader, his mom ends up becoming this real prominent politician, and she turns her son, she agrees to this with the commies that they're going to make him this mind-controlled political assassin, and then she sets it up for her son to kill somebody so that they can win political power and become president or whatever, right? And
okay.
the plots from the first one and the second one are a little different, so I get them a little confused now because I've seen them both a bunch of times. But that's ultimately, so that's what a maturing candidate is. It's a mind-controlled assassin, and so what it is like there's a trigger word, right? You're a normal person. You don't even remember that you've been mind-controlled, or they've hypnotized you or whatever the hell it is, so that you don't even remember the experience, and then they can say something, call you up, whatever, and trigger you to do what you've been trained to do. And in the movie, it's the Queen of Hearts. She tells him to play solitaire, and then he sits down, starts playing solitaire, and we see the Queen of Hearts, boom, he becomes this assassin. So,
This reminds me of a Flintstone episode, I swear. I swear it says. It was like, or maybe it was a Gilligan's Island. I think it was Gilligan's Island. That's what it was. And he got hypnotized, and every time he heard something, he like flipped out, and it was like there was a trigger word. Anyway.
Well, and I'm sure that what that episode had to have been inspired from the movie, the original Manchurian Candidate, and and there was a lot of weird stuff with Sirhan Sirhan, where he had like notebooks full of like Bobby must die, Bobby must die, Bobby must die, that kind of stuff. Really odd behavior. And Sirhan has maintained to this day that he doesn't remember it. He hasn't said I'm innocent. He just says I don't remember it. I do not remember killing Bobby Kennedy. And
interesting.
There's all kinds of other interesting things about like the number of bullets fired that was reported doesn't match with like damage to walls and beams in the kitchen of the hotel where it happened, and that there's claims that there was more shots fired and all that kind of stuff. So
I think I've heard stuff about like that. As well as when they assassinated Jack Kennedy.
Well, and Bobby, he, for how much, we see, JFK as being this, kind of the do-all, end-all of progressive presidents, Bobby was even more kind of a crusader for progressive ideas, even though he was on McCarthy's, hounding of communists. He supported Senator McCarthy during that thing. He sat on the panel with McCarthy and in the Big Red Scare and the, are you now or have you ever been a communist or whatever. Bobby was a part of that. So they were super anti-communist. But he was also, but when it came down to it, he probably would have been even more of a radical progressive than JFK is, at least in my opinion. You look at his speeches and stuff, and he's a little more over the top.
That's the impression I got. That's like I said, because I don't know that much about it. I was really super little, but did not even have any interest in trying to pay attention to any of that kind of stuff as I was getting older. I didn't even know how the hell I got through civics class in high school. I really, really don't, because you had to have it to graduate anyway. So, understand where I'm coming from when I'm asking you these questions, because I want to be informed as well, to know where we're coming from. But I have heard some of that stuff as well. So,
well, for me, it was kind of like it dawned on me at one point. I was probably well into my late 20s when I realized like, Nixon was president when I was born. And Vietnam was still happening then.
Right. I remember.
I'd always seen it as, before my time. I have a very vague recollection of Ford being president, and then I can remember distinctly the day Reagan got shot. And so I, saw myself as coming up under the Reagan era, but then I realized, holy shit. So then I wanted to know everything about Nixon, and you can't know about Nixon without knowing about JFK. And then everything I learned about JFK, I talk about this in my first book about how, the band, the Dead Kennedys, my thought was, okay, that's a name where they're just making fun of these old politicians, the Kennedys, and I didn't know anything about the Kennedys. And then learning more, I realized,
it was
okay,
hilarious.
Wait a minute, maybe it's the opposite. They're not really talking shit on the Kennedys. They're kind of saying, and I don't know this because I've never hung out with Jello and asked them this. Actually, the one time I met Jello was outside the Fillmore for Incredibly Strange Wrestling. And it was with the Dwarves and Electric Frankenstein. And I got seriously drunk on the way there and was sitting outside the Fillmore after the show. And Jello, I look up and I see this star belt buckle in front of my face. And, it's Jello Biafra. And I thought, well, I could talk to him. So I said, hey, Jello. And he says, yeah, man, what's up? And I was like, hey. And I put my head down because I was incredibly wasted and needed to throw up. So that was my one opportunity to talk to Jello Biafra.
I get it. I blew my one chance with Tim Armstrong, so I totally understand where you're coming from. So,
so I obviously I don't know that this is Jello's intention in naming the Dead Kennedys, but my thought is that he's kind of saying, what if Bobby and JFK were alive? We're them if they were still alive, giving it to you hard in the ass, whatever it is, you know what I mean? And so anyway.
Interesting. That's I had no idea. The first time I heard the name, I cracked up. I'm like, Dead Kennedys. That's funny,
Right. And then, of course, it's seriously offensive, which is great.
It's exactly. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought, which is kind of why I laughed. But that could be right. I mean, my understanding of Bobby Kennedy was that he was more progressive than John was. So. Interesting.
Well, and with John, it was kind of
nice tie-in to punk rock too, by the way.
Right. And all roads lead to punk rock, buddy.
At some point, right? So let's fast forward to what we got in front of us now. We have a bigger problem now, in the words of Jello Biafra.
Right.
So Trump is definitely the Republican nominee. Okay.
The presumptive.
I just keep hearing him go, oh, I'm going to be so presidential. You've never seen anybody so presidential. Really?
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm still waiting, dude, because I haven't seen anything yet. I saw on Twitter that he had lunch with, where were they? In Indiana with, I don't know the name of the guy. I should probably have written it down. But the guy that's known for smear campaigns, he wrote books on smeared Obama and Michelle Obama and Hillary and Bill. I mean, he's the GOP smear campaign dude. And
right.
Trump was having lunch with him this week in Indiana. So it looks like we're there.
Did they have taco bowls and equate that to liking Mexicans?
Oh my God! Oh my God!
That is so insanely the most racist behavior. You see it from racists. Well, I eat tacos, so I like Mexicans. Mexicans are like, orale, fuck you, puto. Eat my food, that means you like me? My God, that is so insanely racist. So just to clarify, he put up a picture on Twitter of him eating a taco bowl from his restaurant.
I've seen it. I'm sure everybody else has seen it. I couldn't get over the tweet from Samantha Bee in Full Frontal. I mean, that was hilarious, which is I retweeted it.
Just for people who didn't see it, he says, having a taco bowl from the Trump kitchen, it's the best. I love Mexicans.
Hashtag I love Mexicans.
Holy shit, you racist prick.
While they're beating the shit out of piñatas in Mexico in his effigy.
Right.
Did you see that? They're like,
No, I didn't see
there's
that.
a huge run in Mexico on Donald Trump piñatas. So they're
Oh my
basically
God.
buying these Donald Trump piñatas and beating the hell out of them at birthday parties and quinceañeras. I love it.
Well, so
Th-
what we wanted to talk about today was kind of where do we go from here? And so we wanted to do it by, because, look, sorry, Bernie or Busters, but you're probably going to have to bust because it just isn't looking good for our guy. We're backing him. You know, if you notice, Mike told you all at the beginning that our Facebook page is still called Punks for Bernie. It's not changed to Punks for Progress because we're going to have Bernie's back through the convention. And so we're still
Anything
backing
can
him.
happen.
But
Bobby Kennedy was shot in
anything
June.
could happen, and we're going to get
Okay.
into that too. We're going to get into that as well.
Hillary can be indicted. He still has a path. If he can get 75% of the vote in California, okay, he's got it. So
Right.
I haven't voted yet.
So we'll get into that. We can get into that a little bit later, but we're going to premise this question of, all right, where do we go from here? We're taking a look at what we think, us at Punch for Progress, what we think a Trump administration would actually look like, as opposed to what a Hillary Clinton administration would actually look like, as opposed to what a Bernie Sanders administration would actually look like. And then discuss from there what we think is kind of our role as American citizens, as radical punk rock crazy people. What do we do, and how do we go forward at knowing what the political climate is and what's at stake? So let's look at, we'll start with the fun one, is what the fuck would a Donald Trump presidency actually look like?
Why do you say that's going to be fun? It could be definitely, there's comedy. I mean, I've seen comedy all over Facebook.
Well, that's why I say it's fun, because obviously, we're going to be able to take a lot of cheap shots and jabs. And
come on,
even
but
it's terrifying.
Didn't Susan Sarandon got a bunch of slack for saying that if Bernie doesn't make it, that she's going to vote for Trump to bring on the clampdown? And basically, Susan Sarandon flat out said that, and they were like, "What?" And she was like, "Okay, look, I was being facetious, but basically, if it's going to happen, bring it on." And there's that element that's out there. It's not talked about very much, but there is a bit of that element out there. Now, on the other hand, I've heard Tom Hartman talking all week about you're going to hand the presidency over to Trump if you don't vote, okay? Yet we've already seen proof of voting fraud. We already know that as Democrats, we've got this the super delegate process that we have to go through. And then in the general election, we have the Electoral College. So how much does my vote really count? And it's more of now progress. The establishment is pushing so hard for Hillary. I mean, it's hardcore push for Hillary.
Right.
And
and pushing for Trump. And there's, again, I got to bring up the whole conspiracy theory that you and I have discussed and other people have discussed from the start is Trump a foil for Hillary? Right? Is Trump there to make it basically impossible for Republicans to win, thereby, assuring that Clinton wins? Because in the beginning, too, nobody foresaw Bernie Sanders.
Well, that's
nobody. Even Bernie Sanders didn't foresee Bernie Sanders. You look at his speech when he announced. There's like 3 journalists and like his wife. That's it. There was nobody when he declared his candidacy. There was nobody there. And so it was pretty much assumed that Hillary would be the Democratic nominee, almost uncontested, and all right, so what do? We put him up against Trump. And then, and there is the talk about Trump having a phone conversation with Bill Clinton the day before he declared.
Oh, no, they got together. They had an actual face-to-face was my understanding.
Oh, okay.
That's what
either way. Now, we don't know what was discussed in that face-to-face phone call, whatever the hell it was, and that's, taking a pretty huge leap to say, there's nothing to factually base that opinion on, so it's obviously wild speculation. But, more and more pieces kind of fall together that make you go, well, maybe that really was the case. And,
maybe in the beginning. I mean, because there was a lady that left his campaign that said he was only in this in the beginning for name recognition, and he thought maybe he would, bow out halfway through, depending on how bad it was.
Well, sure.
Okay.
But then his
So,
ego—that's what I was going to say. But his
then
ego
his
takes
ego
over,
kicked
and he's
in,
like,
and now
"Holy shit, maybe I could be president. I'm liking this. This is fun. Go me, go me."
and that's exactly what she said. That his ego kicked in,
Right.
and now there's no stopping him. So, yeah, there's definitely that component of this race. That now he's in it. Now is he gonna? That's why I keep hearing in the back of my head, I'm presidential. You never seen somebody be so damn presidential. Really? Okay. You haven't.
Well, and there's the
You
thing
haven't
too,
come down.
and,
So
and,
now you're going to
and
pivot,
they,
and that's the other thing. This pivot thing. Okay.
right.
You
She's
talk.
pivoting center. He's pivoting left.
You talk
He
about
actually used teleprompters.
You talk about yeah, right. That was a good one. That was a good one. I mean, I'm not the greatest public speaker, but wow. You made me lose my train of thought.
Well, what I was going to say, Mike, is that if that is true, that he was set up as to be the purposeful foil for Hillary, it's like you let the monster loose and now you can't control him. And I think that really is indicative of what we could expect from him as president. That you expect anything. There's nothing you can't control this guy. He's going to be completely motivated by craziness in the moment, spur of the moment. What his followers call he speaks his mind. Well, that's not true. He just spouts anything, and then won't back down from it. And that's a really scary thing. If you know people like that, they'll just say some bullshit, and rather than at any point admit to themselves or to anyone else that maybe they're wrong in the face of overwhelming facts, run with it because at all costs they have to be right and they can't be wrong. And then, damn the torpedoes, doom the nation in the process. He's not going to. So if he just spouts some bullshit some press conference or at a state of the, God forbid, Donald Trump in the frickin' Congress delivering a State of the Union address, that's wow. But, and then he says some bullshit in the State of the Union, he's never going to back down from it. And it could lead to who knows what. Whatever crazy-ass shit he might say, he's going to back it no matter what. Damn it all, I have to be right because I'm Donald Trump.
We still have, when is their convention? July? We still have to July. I just saw Trump make some comment. He's the head of the Republican Party now. As their nominee, he is now basically the head of the Republican Party. So now he's butting heads with Eddie Munster. Okay? He's butting heads with Paul Ryan. So, and Paul Ryan is not backing down. And he is not conservative. I mean, so now one of the things
Paul
I
Ryan
saw
also said, now listen, let me say, I got to point this out. Fucking Paul Ryan, when asked, he just said, as far as will you support him, will you endorse him? I'm not there yet. You're not there yet.
He's
the way you stand
right, and I saw a thing on Twitter that said Trump's going to try to take him, down as the leader of the Republican Party because now he is the leader of the party. So that's where I was talking about was how they're pivoting. All right. Yeah, Hillary still has to stay a little bit left because Bernie's still there. And last time I saw her speaking, she was definitely, equal pay for women. And $15, well, maybe $12. I think she's a $12 an hour minimum wage is what she wants.
Right. Right.
So she's still kind of pushing Bernie's rhetoric, all right? But I'm still waiting for Trump to become presidential because he's still out there spouting shit. And see, it's like, how are you going to back down from, I'm going to build a 30-foot wall and Mexico's going to pay for it? Besides the fact that it's impossible because most of the southern border is on the Rio Grande River, which means you'd have to build the wall inland on people's property. Mexico's already said, we ain't paying for it. Their prime minister said no, and the past prime minister said, fuck you, no. I mean, he basically did. From what I saw, he was basically like, "Fuck you."
No, he said he used the F-bomb too. Ain't building no fucking wall.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It's like right. So, all right. So now, how are you going to pivot out of that? I heard somebody this week on something that I was watching or listening to say that that you got to have the Latino vote in order to win the election. There's just no way around it. And you've got to have the women vote. And how are you going to come back from women who have abortions should be
should be
punished.
punished.
How are you going to come back from talking about Hillary going to the bathroom? How are you going to come back from Megyn Kelly's menstrual cycle? How can you come back
Right.
from that and be presidential? Wait a minute. You referred to the size of your hand and the size of your dick.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
how can you pivot from that and become presidential? Yeah, I was honest with you. I was sitting on the toilet yesterday thinking, how do you have a conversation with a Trump supporter and try to convince them that maybe they should take a look at Bernie Sanders, because the things they really want is what Bernie's pushing. Now,
And actually has plan-specific ideas on how to do it, too.
Right, but here's the problem. One, belief trumps fact. And if you believe that he's going to do it, it doesn't matter. You can believe in the magic fairy in the sky and can pray to him all you want and praise his name forever and ever, But if I tell you, there's no such thing, you're going to tell me that there is. If I tell you the Bible's not true, you're going to tell me there is. Belief trumps fact.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So besides having that to argue with these people, you also have to see. I can't. There was 2 points there. Besides their belief, I can't forget it. I've lost it.
Well, I was also thinking that like maybe him being presidential isn't the smartest thing for him to do, because his behavior is what's won him all this. His unpresidentialness is what's won him all the support that he's gotten. Now he's got them. The people that are supporting Trump, they're as loyal to Trump as the Bernie people are to Bernie. They're not going to back down. They're never going to vote for Hillary Clinton. And,
right, and I totally get that, and I understand. I mean, I wouldn't vote for her either. To me, she's complete establishment. I don't understand thinking that a billionaire is non-establishment. I don't, he's talked about being self-funded, right? Well, he pivoted hard on that one because he's going to need $2 billion to run this presidential campaign. And I already saw on Twitter he's hitting people up for money. Yeah, I was self-funding, but now, yes. So now you're going to be in the pocket of special interests. What special interests is
no,
he
and he is, and he's already got things set up for donations and stuff. And the church were talking about it, that like it was kind of a huge mistake on his part, because it was like that was one of the things that he could have gone at Hillary with in a general is, I'm self-funded. Well, he can't say that now. And,
no, he can't.
So that's going to hurt him.
He probably still will, and people will still believe it. But it doesn't matter. He spouts. He tells complete lies, and people just believe it for no other reason.
Right. And the thing is with people like that, and this is really what I want to get into as far as like what America would look like with Trump as president, because the kind of people that will buy into a line like Trump, the people who don't need facts, the people who are willing to just believe it at face value and go with it and defend it to the death, are the same kind of people. Like, did you hear about this fucking cocksucker who, tow truck driver who gets called out for a goddamn handicapped woman, a disabled woman,
she was
and
disabled?
won't fucking tow her car.
Wait, back up. She was disabled?
Yeah, she was disabled.
Okay,
she had a
because
handicap placard in her fucking rearview mirror.
I read the article in Fox News, and they did not come out and say it was disabled. I saw the tweet on Fox, in our feed. And I read the Fox News article, and it didn't say that, because I wanted to see what they were saying about it. Interesting.
No, I saw the picture of her car, and she had the rearview mirror thing, that you hang. She didn't have the license plates, but she had the thing hanging from the rearview mirror.
Don't want to pop that into it, right?
No, of course not. So she just flat out refused to tow her car and left this disabled woman on the side of the road because she had a fucking Bernie sticker on her car.
Yeah, you know what he said to her?
These are the kind of people that are supporting Trump.
He said to her, he's like, call the federal government if you want to tow. Call the government if you want to tow.
Right. We're making America great again by fucking over disabled people and leaving disabled women and leaving them on the side of the road. But that is a sign of what we can expect from Trump supporters. If he's president, I mean, good luck getting out in the streets and protesting against him.
Let's talk about the riot in Costa Mesa at the Pacific Amphitheater last week. Okay,
Tell me that. Yeah,
huge fucking riot. Yeah, I mean, right. And Danny was texting me pictures, and I said, I texted him first. I was like, hey, so I heard about some riot over in your neighborhood. Oh yeah, and he was like, then he sent me pictures how they had the streets all closed down and stuff. I just saw one. There was another one this week. I think it was in Anaheim. or some other place. But hey, there was another one. He just had another one here locally in Southern California. He's stumping here in California, I guess. He's looking for money
Okay.
is what he's doing. He's been in South Orange County looking for money.
Oh, that's
Okay.
where you're going to find it, is Orange County,
It's Orange
man.
County. That's why, yes. That's why one of the reasons he stopped in Costa Mesa. But he went to Costa Mesa because that's a lower income neighborhood. So you get more of those Trump supporters in that neighborhood. And I totally get it. Those are your blue collar Democrats. Those are your Reagan Democrats. These are these working poor, these working poor. That's what they are. I was going to say working class people, but they're basically the working poor, going from paycheck to paycheck. And you've got these rich people, arguing that, well, you don't know how to manage your money. What the fuck are you talking about? We don't have any money.
I don't have any money to manage.
I wasn't given $2 million on my 18th birthday,
Right. But I just think
No,
that
these people struggle.
they're going to resort to violence, and it's going to
They already have.
that they would be empowered.
They already
to,
have.
And these are, you got to understand. Like, you might say, well, if he was president, why would they attack the federal government? Well, these are the same kind of people who would say, "Government, get your hands off my Medicare." Right? Well, listen, jackass. Medicare is the government. It's supplied by the government. You fucking moron. But get your hands off. So the logic
Social
doesn't
Security.
play. And so this government,
but
except for
Medicare.
this guy Trump, is going to be, pro-Zionist, the Zog movement, all these racist pricks, are going to be. I just believe wholeheartedly that they're going to.
Okay, first of all, don't generalize.
They're going to do it whether he wins or whether he loses.
Well, we can't generalize. Okay, we can't generalize. All
There's
Trump supporters
exceptions
like
to every
this.
rule, for sure.
Right,
For sure.
and there are people that are like us that are confused and disillusioned with the establishment, which is a good thing, because that makes rise to our cause. Okay,
Right.
It just happens to be that they're uninformed. What did I hear them called? The low information voters. They just are uninformed. It's just too easy to turn on CNN and think you're getting an unbiased news source, and you're just not. I was watching CNN last night. My girlfriend was here, and we're laying in bed. She was watching. It was about television. It was the series, the 80s. We were watching the 80s at one point, but she started watching the 70s and went into the 80s. And when I came in, it was about news, and they were talking about cable TV. They talked about the MTV generation, which was quite nostalgic. They showed the old MTV commercials. I want my MTV with the police and Cyndi Lauper. Right. They showed all that also. And they talked about how cable TV was starting to change things, and they showed Ted Turner coming on with CNN. Okay. Before that, all you had was the three major networks: ABC, NBC, CBS.
Right.
That was where you got your news.
Right.
At that point, the news became a for-profit business. It became a business that.
Right.
I saw who was it?
Tom.
Tom, what's his name from ABC? I can't remember the guy's name. It was we've seen the news.
Brokaw?
Yeah, Tom Brokaw. We've seen the news, and it is us. The news was them becoming a business. They basically put, and they flat out said that at that point they were shocked that the news had become a business, because before that it was just about providing information, and they talked about it being a stab to journalism.
Right. Well, and that was so we got to give a little background on it. So that has to do with the fairness doctrine, and then a couple other pieces of legislation too that affected it, and wasn't just the fairness doctrine, but that's the primary one, which basically stated that if you're going to use the public airwaves, you have to provide a public service, because you're using the people's airwaves. So that's why we had
news.
We
talked about
and that's
that.
why we had people like Walter Cronkite and Edward R. Murrow, who had journalistic integrity and presented the news and presented facts. And it wasn't the news was not the source of profit. That was the public service that was being provided. It didn't matter if it made a profit or not. You had to do it, and you were required by the FCC. Otherwise, you'd lose your right to broadcast.
Exactly. Which is
so
why those channels.
The fairness doctrine allowed money to flood into the process for advertising, and they no longer. And also,
and wait a minute,
remind me. Limbaugh. That's why we get Rush Limbaugh.
Remind me of who got rid of the fairness doctrine.
So it's Reagan. But then
Thank
Clinton
you.
did some stuff too, and then it was Clinton did some stuff too, and I can't remember the name of the legislation. Probably just look it up. But
Okay, so I'm going to start keeping a tally of all the bullshit that Reagan did. Okay, that we talk about.
and
So
don't
there's
leave
one.
Clinton out of it.
Well,
But that was
yeah,
the thing
but
too,
it's
is
just
that
everything I hear. There's so many things that directly go back that I've seen recently that directly go back to the bullshit that he pulled. That besides
well,
pulling the wool over our fucking eyes, but just some
no, I
bullshit
totally
that he
agree
pulled
with
that
you,
caused
and I want to say this because I've been thinking
so
about
much
this
of
a
the
lot lately,
destruction
Mike.
of where we're at with everything right now,
Sure, sure.
with the income
No, that's
inequality and every other thing.
You make a very good point. I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, this idea of remember Reagan. Well, like, how can I forget? Like, Ronald Reagan is still a part of our daily life. Things that Ronald Reagan did are affecting all of us every day. Undoing the Fairness Doctrine, getting rid of public funding for state colleges.
Sherman Antitrust Act.
Getting rid of the Sherman Antitrust Act.
Right. Well, right. He just quit enforcing it. So
right.
We've got 5 companies that own all the media. We have 2 companies that own all the newspapers. It's ridiculous. We no longer have anything mom and pop anymore. It's all these huge corporations that run everything. The mom and pop store is gone. We have to have small business Saturday after Black Friday now, after Thanksgiving, because there are no more small businesses around.
Okay, so here it's the Telecommunications Act of 1996. That's the piece of legislation passed by Clinton. So the Telecommunications Act. Wait. So the Communications Act of 1934 is the United States federal law signed into law by Roosevelt on June 19th, 1934. The act replaced the Federal Radio Commission with the Federal Communications Commission. It also transferred regulation of interstate telephone services. Okay, hold on. So we don't need to get into all that. But on January 3rd, 1996, the 104th Congress of the United States amended or repealed sections of the Communications Act of 1934 with the new Telecommunications Act of 1996. It was the first major overhaul of American telecommunications in nearly 62 years. The Act largely combined and reorganized existing provisions of law, including provisions of the Federal Radio Act of 1927 and the Mann-Elkins Act of 1910 relating to telephone services. So let's see. I want to get into the gist of what it really did. Communications technology was determined to be an interstate good. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, along with lobbyists and state regulators, wanted communications technology, both wired and wireless, to be monitored in a similar way and influenced Congress to pass the Communications Act of 34. The goal was to have telephone and broadcasting regulated with the same jurisdiction in a similar way to that in which the ICC regulates the railways and interstate commerce. The Act did not, however, allow for price regulation through the FCC due to strong lobbying efforts from the National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners, NARUC. Currently, there are some challenges and proposed changes to the Act. The company Cal Antenna has sued the FCC, claiming that the Homeland Security Act of 2002 did override the Communications Act of 1934 as the law stands today. The 1934 Communications Act prohibits law and state law enforcement from using jamming devices to thwart criminal and terrorist acts. Cal Antenna lost its case, but as a response has supported legislation, the Safe Prisons Communications Act, supported by Senator Hutchinson and Representative Kevin Brady. The bill attempting to amend the Constitution was left in committee in the House. In addition, there's talk about the need for internet, so this is not telling me what I'm looking for.
I was going to say, I'm kind of baked, but I don't think I got the gist of that. Anyway, so what are you looking for?
Well, the Telecommunications Act. I'm looking for it because...
it just changed it up to where they didn't have to make public service announcements anymore. They didn't have to provide CBS after-school specials, and they weren't going to show us elementary rock anymore.
Okay, so here we go. Here's a summary of the Telecommunications Act, and then we can move on. it had two major changes. The new act was less technologically biased and offered less regulation. This act determined the basis of media regulation by its content, not a technological standard. Title V in the act, titled Obscenity and Violence, is a good example of this. Title V set the standard for regulating media content. The Communications Act of 1934 is argued by some to have created monopolies, such as the case of AT&T. The FCC recognized AT&T as a natural monopoly during the 1930s and the Communications Act of 1934. Because of these effects, the FCC designed the Communications Act 1966 to, quote, provide for a pro-competitive, deregulatory national policy framework designed to accelerate rapidly private sector deployment of advanced information technologies and services to all Americans by opening all telecommunications markets to competition. So there it is.
Right. Well, you know why they did that? You know why? Because
Nixon, let money come in and
Nixon was the one that broke up AT&T. Nixon broke up AT&T. That was the last time that was used. Was in the 70s. Nixon used it to broke up AT&T. They were pissed off. Tell me they didn't lobby about that and get Reagan to change that up, and Clinton. I'll bet you.
So basically, reading between the lines is that it's saying, okay, so it's deregulated and allows money to come in. So now it allows money to decide the content, and there's no, there's no provision for as long as you're providing news for the public good. No. It was deregulated. You can say whatever the fuck you want, and you can make as much money as you want. So now big business, so getting rid of the fairness doctrine made this possible. That now allowed money to flood into it, and that's what people need to realize too. And this is what we're battling with, and why Bernie busters don't like Hillary. It's like for liberals who don't understand, it's because the Democrats expand on the gnarly evil shit the Republicans do, right? So Reagan does away with the fairness doctrine. Clinton brings in the Telecommunications Act and allows all this money and big business to flood in and influence what happens in the news, right? So, Bush puts in, the NSA stuff, the NSA wiretapping and, the Patriot Act, and Obama expands on it and goes crazy with it, right? So it's a rigged game. They're in it together. Like Bernie says, it's a rigged process, right?
Right. It's the Democrats don't do it quite in your face. They're more of a shell game with them. They're going to show you on one hand, yeah, we're gonna give you this, because this is how politics used to be in the 70s with Nixon. We'll give you the EPA, but backside over here, we're doing all this other scandalous shit. Okay, right. And Reagan, that's why people liked him, because he made it look good. He made you think you were getting something. Okay,
right.
Bush didn't give a fuck. He was the first one that came in, and it was like, see my middle finger? There you go. And he just started
terrorism. Terrorism.
Well, even before terrorism, bro, even before 9/11, he started cutting shit left and right. He just acts that he didn't like. He just got rid of them. Oh, the Clean Water Act, fuck that. We don't need that one anymore. Stuff like this, right? He just started blatantly doing shit. Democrats do it, but they don't do it quite as blatantly. All right. Clinton and Obama, I think, were a little better at that. Obama's been really good at it. I mean, he's coming out pretty shiny right now.
He's got super high approval
he
ratings.
Does. He's coming out pretty shiny right now, which is good for the Democratic Party, because that puts a good light. Let's pivot to Hillary. We're talking about what it's going to be like under a Hillary administration. It's going to be the same fucking thing we're dealing with now. We're still going to get fucked, but we're not going to be as bad. It's the same thing. We're going to have the growth of the military-industrial complex. There's going to be reasons for war. We have to be strong. She's a war hawk. We all know that. It's proven. She's a lawyer, so she knows how to manipulate the law, because that's what lawyers do. They manipulate the law. She supports Israel. She already wants to give them big-ass huge nukes. It's like, really?
Right.
It's going to be the same thing we're getting with Obama.
Well, let me clarify on that, Mike. It's like, even Bernie supports Israel. So it's not about...
He's a Jew.
I know, but I won't go so far as to say Israel doesn't have a right to exist. Okay? I support Israel's right to exist. But there's so many actions that the Zionist, not Jewish, Zionist government in Israel, this far right-wing extreme government under Netanyahu, the actions that they're taking in expansion and bombings of, schools and children and things like this. And yes, the other side does the same thing. I'm not going to belittle that, that both sides are culpable in the situation. But my issue is the blind support of anything Israel does. We're not allowed to criticize Israel in any way.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Semite and whatever. And so what Hillary will do will be 100% blind support for anything that the far right-wing government, and she clarified too, Israel, the people in Israel aren't all of one mind. It's not some walking mass of singular thought. There's all kinds of division amongst Israelis in Israel. There's plenty of Jews who don't support Netanyahu. They're devout 100%, twirly, sideburn Jews, that do not support Netanyahu.
I think they're called Hasidic.
Well, I know, I couldn't think of the word. But, and any chance to, take a jab at any type of religion is always fun for me. But
is it a religion or is it a nationality?
Well, that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, okay. All right.
But no, I would say, for the sake of this argument, that the government in Israel, it's not a theocracy. And Zionism is not synonymous with Judaism. Zionism is similar in a lot of ways to the kind of concept that we had in America of manifest destiny. They have a God-given right to the land and to expand it, right?
Exactly.
And at their own pace. Even if they do violate treaties, UN treaties that they signed about expanding into the West Bank and all this kind of stuff. And so the point is, Hillary will do anything that Netanyahu or whoever the freaking prime minister of Israel is. Bernie, on the other hand, would be like, okay, yes, I'm a Jew. I want there to be Israel. I want it to exist. Jews have a right to a homeland. And but how about we not murder Palestinian children in the process? Would that be okay if we didn't do that?
Well,
Can we treat Palestinians like humans and a right to live and exist as well?
Well, my understanding was, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm because I don't know the history that well, but wasn't that quite a bit bigger? And didn't Israel come in and kind of take over the land and say, no, this is our land, and they pushed them back into this one little spit of land next to the beach?
Well, right. So it was a
and they just keep encroaching on that land?
After World War II, yes. They came in, and there was UN Resolution 242. Noam Chomsky talks about it a lot. That's the only reason I know about it is because of Chomsky. But it kind of laid out a map and said, okay, these are the areas that Israel gets, and these are the areas that the Palestinians get to keep. And Israel agreed not to encroach on those areas. And those are areas like Gaza and the West Bank, the two areas we hear so much about Israeli expansion in. So they're violating their own treaty. And they're doing it by force, by military force. So,
right,
yeah,
that's what I thought.
Right.
So and the only one I've heard talk about settling this and talking about peace, okay, is Bernie. I heard Hillary at that AIPAC convention. Is that what that's called?
Yes, AIPAC, which is the hugest Israel lobby in America.
Exactly.
Insane, incredible amounts of power.
And they gave Bernie grief because he didn't go.
He didn't go.
Right. Hillary and Trump went. I think Cruz, I think he did too. But Hillary got up there and was spouting how she was going to give, the latest technology and weaponry to Israel. And Bernie
she was just
Trump was all like,
huge Israeli dick. She just had like a bucket of Israel dick in her mouth.
Yeah, but she was sharing with Trump. He was just doing it in a different way. That's all.
Right. Well, Trump just said we're going to make Israel huge.
We'll make it better. Whatever they want. Well, yeah.
Right. So there you go, and so that should tell you something too.
Exactly.
Like, and if you want to say that Trump is an establishment, well, he's in the tank for Israel.
He's a billionaire. He is the establishment. No. He is a billionaire. He is just. He's a. a sheep in a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's what it
Right.
is. He
Right.
is, yeah, he's just, he wants to make people think that he's one of them. And he sounds real good, He doesn't have to say a whole lot. People like him. They know his face. They know his shit. They know his steaks. They know his water. They know they may have dropped a few bucks in Atlantic City last time they were on vacay. Right. So I don't think they've got one here in Vegas. I don't go to Vegas. I hate fucking Vegas. But I'm just saying
Yeah, I
that
live in
he's
Reno.
got
We all hate
his
Vegas.
name, and which is all he does. He doesn't make buildings anymore. He doesn't build
No, he doesn't.
shit. He sells
No,
his
he puts
name.
signs on it. He gets paid to put a sign on it.
Right. Somebody said something to me. Well, he built this building, and I said, no, he doesn't. He doesn't build buildings. My friend Gyron on Facebook, awesome progressive guy, love him to death. Right. But he's not. He hasn't quite made that next step. But I got into a conversation with him about it, and it's like he doesn't, or somebody on his feed. I said he doesn't build buildings. I said he sells his name. That's all he does. He sells his name.
Right. Right.
It's so easy.
And then, so his supporters will say, well, that's brilliant business. That's what America needs. And no,
we
America's
need
not
you're
a
not
business.
making anything.
America's not a business.
First off, right? Margaret Ann and I just talked about this the other day. Why would you want a businessman to run it? They were talking about Mitt Romney last election. There's another businessman. Really? There's an establishment businessman. This is not a business. This is a country and it's supposed to be a democracy. Okay, I posted this thing on our Twitter feed, and it cracked me the fuck up. All right, you've got to go and see it. I'm pretty sure I also put it on Punks for Bernie. Okay, it's from Third Rock from the Sun. It's Jane Curtin, and the guy Dick. His character's name's Dick. All right, and
right.
You gotta love this stupid sitcom. Okay, every single episode has the word Dick in it. This one is called Dick on Politics. All right, they play up the pun all the time. It's fucking awesome. It's hilarious. I just got to tell you that. It's so timely, even though.
So what's the gist of it?
Dick freaking out about voting and who he's going to vote for and how he's going to do it, and freaking out if he did it right.
Okay.
Oh my God, it's funny
gotcha.
as hell. Yeah, it's funny. That's all I was gonna.
So I think that Hillary.
And we're looking at
It's pretty simple.
We're
going to have
more Obama, and that's just it. Like I was saying, the
but
economy
with
is
the
halfway
caveat
decent.
of
Gas is halfway
escalated,
cheap.
but escalated. She's going to be. By all
You
accounts,
think?
even
I think she's
supporters
gonna
of
back
Hillary
off.
will admit that she's more of a war hawk than Obama.
Oh, absolutely.
And she, you and I have talked about this before. When Obama came in, he owed some favors. He had a couple years of favors that he had to make good on. But Hillary's got 30-plus years of favors that she's going to have to make good on. There's no one that's been more sold out as a president. Even Nixon. We demonize Nixon and we see him as the most evil president there ever was. But he hated the Brookings Institute.
Oh no, I think that was actually Reagan.
No,
anyway.
Nixon hated the Brookings Institute, and he was against a lot of these kind of think tanks and stuff. And he was not in the tank. He was an ideologue. He had his beliefs and stuff, and many of which we can fervently disagree with. But he wasn't completely sold out in the tank for big business. In fact, he had a lot of enemies in big business. Hillary has none. Hillary has no enemies in big business, Wall Street, oil, nowhere. She has none.
Great.
And that's scary. Now, Bernie is the opposite. They all hate him.
Oh, yeah.
And,
corporate.
And who knows where
media
Trump
hates
is.
him.
And I think that big business is a little afraid of Trump because he's unpredictable. They're like, okay, he's one of us.
No, I would say the
we
Republican establishment.
Right. They know he's going to do things that are going to be good for the corporate world and for Wall Street because he's a billionaire. And he's got a personal vested interest in those things. So they know they're good there. But, he puts out this statement this week saying that he'd be willing to bankrupt the economy so that he could write a New Deal. And not to, equate that to Roosevelt's New Deal. But,
come on. He's already using the term America First. Of course, he's gonna pull anything out of his ass he can pull
Sure.
to make it
But
sound
but
good. Are you kidding? America First
so
sounds
he's unpredictable. So he's unpredictable, and
That's what
life is
scares the
unpredictable in
Republican
general,
establishment.
But
I
the
don't think.
ramifications of the unpredictability under Trump are terrifying.
Well,
And
to
then,
you and
so
me, but not to
Clinton,
corporate, bro. Not to corporations. Are you kidding? He's
no, not
getting so much free airtime. He can call
right,
into any news show he wants and get
right,
on. He's getting free airtime. They
right,
fucking love him.
yeah,
Okay? Corporates, yeah, no, it's the Republican establishment that's running crazy because he's so off the cuff. I mean, look at his
well, because
primary
he's
speeches.
saying
Primary speeches are
saying
off
what
the
they've been
cuff.
out loud, what they've been whispering for 30 fucking years, and they don't like it. They can't, they can't fool people and say, "What? We're not racist? What?" Well, there you go. He's bringing it all to light. Tom Hartman, Turks, they talk about this all the time. That he is the culmination of the dog whistles and the Southern strategy and all that kind of stuff that's been going on for 30 years, and they don't like it. Their covers have been pulled, and that's why they don't like it. All the things that people like Ted Cruz, frickin' Glenn Beck, all these douchebags that they're criticizing him for, they're all guilty of. When you really look at it just a little bit closer, you're like, well, you believe all that same shit. You're just less blatant about it, and you couch it in, Jesus and
So
Ayn
did
Rand
he.
nonsense.
His first favorite book after The Art of the Deal is the Bible.
I know.
Really?
Which he can't quote from. Two Colossians, give me a fucking break. He's never read the book. He's never read the Bible. I'll guarantee you he's never even read one book in the Bible from start to finish. He's never read all of John or all of Revelation or all of Hebrews or all of Exodus. He's never read any of it, let alone the whole thing, let alone studied it and called it to call it your favorite book. Look, my favorite book is Prometheus Rising by Robert Anton Wilson. It completely changed my life. I've read that book at least 5 times. And then even gone back and referenced it and looked at different chapters and really dissected it. And that's why it's my favorite book, because I keep going back to it. And the Bible is up there too. And I spent countless hours buried in that Bible. I could say, in all honesty, I've probably read the whole entire Bible 10 times. And I love the book. And that's why I feel like, that's why I know that Republicans aren't Christians and that they're a bunch of fucking blasphemers and heretics. Because they're
I haven't.
Violation of
Can't say that I've read it that many times, but from my knowledge of the Bible after studying it for 2 years in seminary before high school every morning was exactly that. That's not Christian, and I don't understand.
And you can debate
how
whether
you can
agree
go
with
from
Christianity in and
one
of
place
itself,
to
but
right.
they're in direct violation of their own book.
It seems to me that way, and it's interesting how they pick and choose certain passages or certain issues to deal with, or to go, okay, well, we can't do that, but we can go ahead and do this. Okay, abortion is bad. Okay, but it's all right to beat your wife. Oh my God! Did you see what Cameron came out and was talking about this week?
Yeah. He's talking about
your wife is supposed to be submissive,
subordinate to the husband. I know. And that is a very biblical concept.
It absolutely is. It is extremely Christian, and that's basically what he said. Was if you want to live a true Christian life, your wife is supposed to be submissive.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, there you go. I mean, that's just more
but
evidence.
I should also clarify that Jesus never said that. Jesus himself never said that. There's a lot of that in the Old Testament. And then in the New Testament, it's Paul's letters that get into that nonsense.
Right.
So just
letters.
for the listeners know, in the Christian world, you talk about the red letters. Now, the red letters are many of your Bibles. If it's spoken by Jesus, if it's accredited to being spoken by Jesus, it'll be in red letters in the print. And so nowhere in the red letters do you have Jesus saying anything outside of equality for all people, except for rich people. Rich people are burnt, according to Jesus.
Right. That Sermon on the Mount, right?
Right. Jesus washed the feet of prostitutes. Okay.
Right.
So,
and didn't the Pope just wash the feet of a bunch of Muslim people?
Yes, he did. But Popes do that all the time, and I don't mean to take from Pope Francis.
But
'Cause I
they
actually
don't
really
do.
like
Do
him a
they
lot.
do Muslim people? I don't think they've ever done Muslims. I think
I
he's
don't know.
washed the feet
I can't
poor
speak
people.
to that. I'm going to venture to say that various popes probably have throughout history, and because popes are different. But I don't know. So
Look it up and
it
tweet
could
us,
be the
okay?
case. I know it got a
Cousin
lot
Rhonda.
of press. I know it got a lot of press, and I think it was a very bold move on his
Well,
part.
I
You
was thinking
know,
it got a lot of press because it was the first time.
it may be. It may be. I don't know. But I mean, we have 2,000 years of popes, so
Okay,
well,
you know,
close to.
on that note, I think it's time for us to play some music.
All
And
right.
I think I want to come back, and I think we need to talk more about Bernie and Bernie
Okay.
Sanders and where are the Bernie or bust camp. You already said that they're hey, sorry guys, this is where we're looking. Let's get into that a little bit more. I know that there's,
Sounds good.
like I said, I haven't even voted. I'm in California. So we're going to play a little Dead Kennedys, and then I'm going to play a couple of X songs since I had such a bitchin' show the other night. All right. All right. Let me see if I can make this happen. Here we go. Can you hear me?
You said I'm muted. Can you hear me?
Heart's not dead, it just deserves to die when it becomes another stale cartoon. A closed-minded, self-centered social club. Ideas don't matter, it's who you know. If the music's gotten boring, it's because of the people who want everyone to sound the same. Who drive the bright people out of our so-called scene, till all that's left is just a meaningless fad. I got all the darkness, gently carrying out what we are. Is it the state of mind? Or just another label? The giant puzzle and alternative has become a cliche. I heard the better lifestyle, and that's a sickness is at 35. Who needs a scene, get the love and reveal? Such everything by that passive appeal. Who played last night? I don't know, I forgot. But diving off the stage was a lot of fun. So he got the please, the better to please. So he got the please, the better to please. Make the same old mistake again and again. Chicken for this like you What's ripped us apart even more than drugs are the thieves and the goddamn liars, ripping people off when they share their stuff. When someone falls, are there any friends? Harder core than thou for a year or two, then it's time to get a real job. Others stay home, it's no fun to go out when the gates are wrecked by gangs and thugs. When the thugs form bands, look who gets record deals. The New York metal labels looking to scam. Who signed the most racist, queer bashing bands they could find to make a buck, ramming kids up for war. What all I saw, only it's not the gang approval. Unity is bullshit when it's under someone's fast food. Oh, it's a common cause. Too many classes say results in themselves. Agree with us on everything, or we won't have with anything. That kind of attitude just makes us quick away. Guess who's laughing? What will be good when we're all my babies? Too much that's for myself. So we got the please, the better to please. So we got the please, the better to please. Like the same old mistake again and again. Chicken for us like your parents. That funny old rock and roll attitude's back. It's competition, man. We wanna break big. Who needs friends when the money's good? That's right, the 70s are back. Cock rock medals like a bad laxative. It just don't move me, you know. The music's okay when there's more ideas than solos. Do we really need the attitude too? Getting dancing too quickly as a band disappoints me. Send the truth and set the place. Oh, send all you can think of. Rock'n'roll is just another word for lack of ideas. Maybe what we need are more tools under the bridge. Will the metalheads finally learn something? Will a punk so away their education? No, I've never heard the best of say we'll be there oppressed. But so I know we rehashing mistakes of the past. So we got to please, the better to please. So we got to please, the better to please. Like the same old mistake again and again. Making shit that form is like your parents. The more things change, the more they stay the same. We can't grow and we won't criticize ourselves. The 60s were a failure, the 70s stuck as the clock ticks, we dig the same hole. Music sees they realize don't get rid of the bomb. Won't eliminate, rape the brain down the bank. Seems like the same old mistake again and again. Chicken, chicken, motorcycle parents. The facts we hate will never meet. Walking down the road, everybody yelling, hurry up, hurry up. But I'm waiting for you. I must go slow, I must not think bad thoughts. When is this world coming to? Both sides are right, let both sides murder. I give up. Why can't they? I must not think bad thoughts. I must not think bad thoughts. I must not think bad thoughts. The civil wars and the uncivilized wars.
Conflagrations leap
Out
out.
of every poor furnace, the food cooks poorly, and everyone goes hungry.
From then on, it's dog eat dog.
Doggy, body, body, dog. I can't go down there. I can't understand it. I'm a no good coward, an American too.
A North American that is. And I must not think bad thoughts. And I must not think bad thoughts. And I must not think bad thoughts.
I must not think bad thoughts. I must not think bad thoughts. When the murder of innocent men, innocent women, innocent children, thousands of them. My planes, my guns, my money, my soldiers, my blood on my hands. It's all my fault. I must not think bad thoughts. I must not think bad thoughts. I must not think bad thoughts.
The facts we hate, you'll never hear us.
I hear the radio, it's finally gonna play new music, you know, the British invasion.
But what about the Minutemen?
Flesh eaters, DOA, big boys in the black flag, we're the last American band to get played on the radio. Please break the flag, please break the flag. Glitter disco synthesizer, night school. All this noble savage drum, drum, drum. Astronauts go back in time to hang out with the cave people. It's about time. It's about space. It's about some people in strange place. Wooded Alvarez sang about B-E-E-T-S, not B-E-A-T-S. I must not think bad thoughts. I must not think bad thoughts. I must not think bad thoughts. The facts we hate will never meet. Walking down the road, everybody yelling, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. But I'm waiting for you. I must go slow. I must not think bad thoughts. When is this world coming to? Both sides are right, but both sides murder. I give up. Why can't they? I must not think bad thoughts. I must not think bad thoughts. I must not think bad thoughts.
Sit down.
There are men lost in jail, crowded 52 room. There's too many rats in this cage of a world. And the women know their place, they sit home and write letters. Then they visit once a year, where they both just sit there and stare. See how we are. Gotta keep bars in between us. See how we are. We only sing about it once in every 20 years. See how we are. Oh, see how we are. Now there are 7 kinds of coke, 500 kinds of cigarettes. This freedom of choice in the USA drives everybody crazy. Down in Acapulco, well, they don't give a damn. Back inside chicklets with no shoes on their feet. See how we are. Hey man, what's in it for me? See how we are. We only sing about it once in every 20 years. See how we are. Oh, see how we are. Well, this morning, the alarm rang blue, and I'm trying to write this letter to you about how much I care and why I just can't be there to dry your back and comb your hair. Tonight in a nice spot where things ain't so hot. My friend said I met a boy and I'm in love. I said, oh really? What's this one's name? She said his first name is Homeboy. I said, could his last name be Trouble? See how we are. Hey girl, I wouldn't trust you as far as I can throw you. See how we are. We only sing about it once in every 20 years. See how we are. Oh, see how we are. Yeah, see how we are. Now that highway is coming through, so you all gotta move. This bottom rung ain't no fun at all. 'Cause now fires and rock houses and grape flavored rock poison are the new trinity for the so-called community. See how we are. Gotta keep bars in all our windows. See how we are. We only sing about it once in every 20 years. See how we are. Oh, see how we are. See how we are. Yeah, see how we are. Oh, see
See how we are. That was X with See How We Are. And before that, we heard I Must Not Think Bad Thoughts. Oh my God, they did just freaking incredibly awesome Friday night when I saw them. Welcome back. I want to say, first of all, remind everybody to subscribe to our YouTube page. That's where you're going to find our uploads of our show. We'll be at Punks for Progress on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at Punks for Progress. That's at Punks, the number 4, Progress. And our Facebook page is Punks for Bernie. Please follow, please like and share our page. You there, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm here. And also, I just wanted to say that we will be posting a lot of other stuff on our YouTube page. I do a lot of promotion for punk rock shows and stuff, so I like to take video of those. And then, so we'll be having stuff like that come up and just different things we do. And then, video of my band, the Convolusionairs, which we can talk about a little bit more once we recap and kind of finish our talk about Bernie and stuff.
Right. And I want to get into the X show.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I tried to. I tried to post that. I was telling you, I posted it from my phone, but it's on. It's just there. I don't have like my own personal page. That's the first fucking thing I've ever uploaded to YouTube. All right, because I am not a millennial. Anyway, I did get it up there. It was the very last one that came up, and it's only a couple minutes. I didn't do the whole. I guess I did do the whole entire song. DJ did a drum solo.
No, you cut off at the drum solo.
I didn't do the whole drum solo, but did you hear me wailing back there? Oh my God, it's
Yeah,
horrible.
you sounded absolutely horrible.
Yes, exactly. Oh, so we'll post dumb shit like that if I can get the nerve, and I can figure out how to do it from my phone. That was incredible. So,
Sure.
but yeah, like I said, subscribe to our YouTube page, Cousin Rhonda, because I think she's going to be our only listener.
Well, we
Anyways.
have 20 views of our last podcast, and aside from the 19 times you and I listened to it, we
That's
got Cousin
not too
Rhonda.
bad. I think Chris listened to it. Kahuna Chris from Hawaii.
Oh, okay. No, and I have a couple friends I know listen to it too, and we haven't pushed it that hard. We're still.
This one will be good, though. This will be much better than the last one. The last one was kind of a bullshit introduction. Let's just give this a shot. We've embraced the janky, and I think we've taken it one step forward. I think this one's going to be a lot better. Just saying.
Mildly less janky. I mean, I think our
Either
first
way.
segment was kind of we kind of were all over the place. There's so much we want to talk about, and it's kind of
I
hard
thought
to
it went
stay.
pretty good. Felt
No, it went good.
I'm not a DJ.
You know,
Trying to DJ off my computer is a pain in the ass, but we'll see. It's so far so good, I guess.
Sure. And I just kind of wanted to talk about doom and gloom a little more, but we were too busy having fun.
Well, we can go back and forth with Mr. Senator Sanders.
Sure.
I mean,
So what does a Bernie Sanders candidacy look like, and does he even have a chance in
Right.
hell?
okay, if he does have if the snowball does finally melt in hell, and all
I'm looking up at a beautiful Reno sky, and there's no pigs up there.
Well,
So-
I'm looking at clouds. It's cloudy. It's been rainy, shitty. This has been the worst fucking spring, I swear to God. It's horrible. It's been horrible here. I haven't even been to the beach. It's been so fucking horrible. If Bernie makes it, if he actually does get the nomination, I mean, we already know in every poll that I've seen, he beats Trump by double digits. That's
Huge.
double digits. Hillary not so
Right.
much. And Fox tweeted something this week that said that Trump was over Hillary, and I'm like, that's bullshit.
Well,
Maybe
that's bullshit.
maybe
But
in
there
a
has
Fox
been a poll that they're tied in, and in the polls where she beats him, it's by margin of error points.
Exactly. So
Because she doesn't do good with independents.
But you
which she's going to.
you being in Nevada, I also heard someone say that, oh, you know what? It was the funniest thing. I listened to Sirius XM Faction, okay, the Faction station there. We can get more into that when we talk about punk rock, because that's where I catch Marky's show and I catch Tim Armstrong's show. But Jason Ellis pretty much is on there a lot. He's on, like every afternoon until 3 or 4 o'clock. Jason Ellis is on there. Excuse me. And I don't know who he was talking to, but they were talking about the election. And this guy was saying the same thing. He was saying that if you want to make sure that, God damn it, if you want to make sure you can. I have totally just lost my brain right now. What he was saying was that if Bernie makes it, I can't remember what I was saying.
Well, we're talking about the
took one too
possibilities
many-
of him getting the nomination.
Right. It's possible.
It is possible. I mean, it's pretty
Wow, that train of thought just
and-
went right out the door. I was right on to something, and I've even got notes here. I'm trying to keep track of stuff, and it's just like, that was bad. That was really bad. Sorry, guys. That was.
Did
really
you write
bad.
that in your notes?
No, I didn't. Whoa, whew. Okay, that's good. That is SFVOG right there. That's what that comes from. But yeah, I was listening to Jason Ellis, and there was some dude, and they were talking about this. They were talking about the election, and they was right along the track of what I was just talking about. But it's the things that we've said. It's what Stewart says. When I talk to Stewart, because he watches CNN all the time, it's like, we can't get anything done because of the Republican Congress.
Right.
And we said, but it's not about what.
And that's going to be the case for Hillary or Bernie. They're both going to have, Jimmy Dore from Young Turks, he
Young
talks a lot
Turks.
about, like, he talks, a lot about how, Bernie's the amendment king, and he's very well liked by Republicans and Democrats in Congress. He's a likable guy. They hate Hillary. So this idea, that's always been the talking point from mostly people on the left, that, okay, that's great. Bernie's got all these great ideas, but he's not going to be able to get any of it done because he's going to have opposition from Congress. And I just think that that's nonsense. I actually agree with Jimmy Dore on that Hillary was going to have a much harder time than Bernie would. And the thing,
even Obama.
Well, let me finish my point. It also comes to what we talk about, how it's not necessarily what Bernie will do; it's what Bernie won't do. But on the other side of that, Bernie is so far into the progressive side that he's actually going to push for much more progressive stuff. So even if he only gets a fraction of it done, whereas Hillary is not going to push for intense progressive stuff, so the fraction of stuff she gets done is going to be even smaller than the fraction of progressive stuff that Bernie gets done. Bernie's going to push for such extreme extreme progressive ideas and legislation. If he only gets a fraction of what he wants done, it will still be more than what Hillary would get done, because Hillary's not even going to try to push for these really hard progressive
What was
ideas.
that meme you put up?
She's going to throw us, platitudes, or she's going to throw us, progressive bones.
Progressive bones, exactly,
and social democratic stuff.
Well, things that me and you just think are, well, that's fucking stupid. Why isn't that done now? Marriage equality. Equal pay for women. Are you fucking kidding me? Right. Did you hear about this thing?
We'll get that under Hillary. She won't shoot for that stuff. Trump won't. Trump will never shoot for that stuff. So in that sense,
progressive. Well, it's the jury's still out on whether he's going to conform to Republican conservative values, or he's going to continue to be off the cuff and say what I want and do that. Because my understanding is he's going to pivot back to typical Republican, this is what we're going, establishment type bullshit. And then all these people that are now following him are just like, going to be totally disillusioned. I think they all pissed off.
Right. Well, and I don't see him resorting to anything partisan, left or right. It's just whatever fucking pops in his head in the moment.
But everything is still nonpartisan now anyways. We've got Mitch McConnell in the House going, fuck Obama, fuck the black man.
Right.
Nothing he does. It's our job to be obstructionists. That's what we were hired for. So we have this, and then on top of that, you've got John Boner. The whiskey toddler. I'd have a shot of whiskey with Boner.
Sure. He might cry. You might have to put up with his crying.
Only if we start talking about the Pope.
Right. I think he's definitely an "I love you, man" kind of drunk.
Interesting. Maybe. But even the right-wing fascist side of the Republicans got his ass kicked out of the House.
Sure.
As Speaker of the House.
He quit.
Because
who would want that fucking job?
Because of the right wing. And this is what I heard Hartman talking about. And this is what I'm down for. And hopefully somebody will hear this and maybe get down with us as well, is that we need to start a left Tea Party style faction. Faction's not really a good word, but offshoot like the Tea Party did. But we need to do it left, and we need to do it on the Democratic side. The Progressive Party. Just call it the fucking Progressive Party, okay? And continue to push Bernie's ideas, continue to push his policies, continue to push for free education. Look just at some of the way that these European countries are.
Sure.
I mean,
so what we're talking about is a third political party. And so let's look at
third
parties, because we have a lot of them.
The Tea Party's not a party. You can't register Tea Party.
Well, no, you're right. So, but there's
we've
the
already
Tea Party
got
caucus.
libertarians. And Margaret Ann's mom's running for Libertarian Congress. I don't know I think it's probably what is it going to be? She's up in Pismo Beach, so it's got to be something.
Well, and that is essentially the Tea Party is a libertarian party.
That's well, we've talked about the Ayn Rand and the whole situation.
Right, which I take issue with because libertarian is actually, just for those who don't know, was originally a term coined by anarchists. It was like Mikhail Bakunin and Proudhon, these guys
well, you know what?
were the ones that coined the term libertarian. It's actually an anarchist ideal. And then these fucking douchebags have basically turned it into small government, free markets.
Okay, you sound like Danny right now because the Christians are all pissed off at the gay people for jacking the rainbow, God's gift to the world. I was like, wow, okay.
Right.
Basically same thing. Anyway.
Yeah, sure.
So they jack. So, anyways, so you have libertarian.
Because I'm right and Danny's wrong.
You still have the Green Party. I was registered Green for a number of years. Margaret and I were registered Green.
And they've Jill Stein, who's
Nader ran for the Green Party, and I just saw him on an interview. Was that on Hartman? I think it was on the Big Picture with Tom Hartman. He was talking to Ralph Nader. That dude is pretty freaking cool. I mean, he's got a lot of good ideas. But with the thing with the third party, now you've got. Well, there needs to definitely be a third party. There needs to be a restructuring. There needs to be something. But all these little parties have been
third party, a party that's going to, and that's what people are talking about. Is if Bernie was willing to do that, because look, the Green Party has great policies and great ideas and things you can get behind, and they always have. But I mean, but they don't resonate with anybody. They need some, if Bernie. I don't know that a party that Bernie would head up, this hypothetical new party that he would create,
it's going to be independent.
Different than what the Green Party is doing, right?
Independents,
the Green Party essentially have
independents are over 40%. There's
already a party called Independent Party. And you got to be careful with that, people. If you're out registering and you register independent, there's an extreme right-wing party called the Independent Party. So you register to that.
People are registered. There's like over 40% of the United States is registered independent. It's almost half. Okay? So, I mean, if he just goes back to being independent, there's already...
But, but he wouldn't necessarily win all those people. Because there's a lot of people out there who are independents who despise...
Throw this out there. We'll throw this out there. Throw it out there. Let's say that he doesn't get the nomination. Let's say he doesn't get the nomination. Bernie or bust. Does he say, fuck you then, I'm going to be an independent, and I'm going to run as an independent in the general? Now what?
He's already made it clear, but he's made it clear he won't do that. Bernie has made it very abundantly clear that that's not what he's going to do. If he loses,
why do you ruin all my fun?
Well, because...
Think about that. Well, just think about it, because if you had Bernie running as a third party, they talked about Ross Perot and how he fucked up everything because he was stealing votes from people. That was the big thing to get you to vote Republican or Democrat, because Ross Perot is going to steal your vote.
Right.
If you've got already 40% registered independent, Bernie's been an independent since day fucking one. He just changed because he knew he could not get a nomination with the way that the party system is. So basically, he played politics to get to be able to run, and it's like you said in the beginning.
And he caucuses with the Democrats, and he's very left leaning, so it made sense.
Exactly. So why not say, okay, you know what? Screw you guys. I'm going to run as an independent, and you've got already 40% registered. You've got this huge movement that rivals already what you've got against Hillary, and with Trump already alienating Latinos, women, Muslims.
Sure. And it's so let's look at it.
So Trump gets a third.
Let's say let me put it this way. Let's say something happens at the convention that makes Bernie change his position. So it would take, I don't know what that something would be, but let's just say for the sake of argument, something goes down at the convention that makes Bernie kind of cry foul and say, fuck it, I'm going to run as an independent and create this new party. Now he's got an uphill battle because, for one, he doesn't have all the groundwork laid for a candidacy that will get on the ballot. He's going to have to fight just to get on ballots You see what I'm saying? And
Why?
there's
You don't think
a hurdle
so?
that he's going to have to
You
overcome.
don't think there's enough supporters right now that would help get him on a ballot?
Well, but that's not necessarily the case. And supporters, as we've seen, isn't the do-all, end-all of how we make our choices.
Right,
You know,
because
he's
the system's
got these massive
skewed
support,
against us.
He's got these exit poll numbers that are annihilating what are actually showing up in the voting booth, and you also have local Democratic parties that are going to be in the tank for Hillary, and you know at least some of them are going to go, we just won't put Bernie on the ballot in this
wait,
state.
he wins. He wins the states that have caucuses. Now, I heard Tom Hartman talk about this, and it's not consistent. It's not like he wins every state there's a caucus and Hillary loses. And
Right.
I mean, it switches back and forth a lot, but he always does, percentage-wise, I think he does better in caucus states. Okay, and as well as open primaries. What was it? Wasn't Indiana when he won Indiana? That was an open primary, wasn't it?
That was open primary, and the reason he does better in the open primaries is because early voting, because of the thing against early voting.
Right.
People were early voting; they didn't know about Bernie, so they sent their ballots in for Hillary, and their vote is already counted that way.
Which is something I need to go do. I was talking to a Bernie volunteer online, and like when I moved out here, I had to re-register to vote. I just moved in September anyway, and I re-registered to vote one night at the street thing that we got going on down here. And I did get something from the DNC, and I was verifying this is me, blah, 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 and I sent it back to them. And I haven't received anything yet. And so I've got the number for the register of voters. I was going to actually go down there. It's not too far from where I'm at. I was going to go there, and actually what she told me is I could do early voting. She's like, go there and tell them you want to do early voting, and if you're not registered, they will find out right then and there. Okay?
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Right. So that's something that's actually available and should be taken up on. I mean, if you get the opportunity to do it. Okay, so I wanted to pivot from that to then if he can't get the nomination and he can't register, he can't run as an independent. It's just not viable. All right. Now what? Do we start looking at 2020? I mean,
of course.
And do we also start looking at
2018?
At 2018 to start getting some of these other left progressive guys into. I mean, is there? Wait a minute. Is there? And even if we did that, okay, so we get some of these other progressive guys that have the same ideas as Bernie does, because there's a few of these guys that are coming on. I've been seeing things for him on Facebook and so forth, with the Bernie people that I follow. There's these other congressmen and so forth that are kind of getting into this thing,
and they're actually posting stuff like, "I support Bernie Sanders, vote for me." Da 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 da.
Right, because a lot of this down ticket stuff is. I mean, I just saw Fox post something about how the down ticket of Trump these guys are freaking the fuck out. So we get these guys in 2018, okay, and we start getting the system revised a little bit, maybe, so that people's votes actually might count in 2020. Excuse me. Do we push for something then? Is it even possible? Or are we fighting an establishment that is so ingrained and embedded it's going to take a clamp down in order for something to change? 4 more years of Hillary. I mean, this Trump thing is really kind of okay. And is that the monkey wrench in this whole thing? I should play Monkey Wrench from Foo Fighters. That's a good song because it's got Pat Smear from the Germs playing guitar.
Well, okay, so here's my answer to that. Now, you and I had talked a lot about this clampdown concept, which is, we believe that there's a very good chance that a lot of people are waking up to the
shit's
corruption
gonna hit the fan.
And shit's going to hit the fan. But I want to be specific about.
Call it like the second coming of Christ. That I've heard prophesied since the time I was a little baby.
Well, sure, but I want to be specific about what my personal vision of that is, how it plays out in real time. And so, to me, it's people the people that are waking up and going, this is fucked up. We want our country back. We want our government back. We want to take it away from these corporations and Wall Street and these central banks all over the world and from the oil industry. And they get out in the streets and they start making it happen. And then the federal government pushes back. This militarized police force that we have all over the country pushes back. And then it just escalates from there. And the next thing you know, we have martial law. You know, we do have, I want to talk about something that I told you about before. But years ago, there was a bar that I was a regular at. It was my home spot. It was called Strega. And so I'm sitting on the front porch of this bar one day, and a guy comes in, he's drinking, and we're just making small talk. And, you know, as a Stragular is what we called ourselves, we were always, all of us, even customers, employees, whatever, and I was both, we were kind of a welcoming mat for different people that came in. You know, we wanted to make people feel comfortable. So I'm having small talk with this guy, and he tells me, it's like I'm kind of celebrating, I'm unwinding. I just got done off a 6-month job out in Fernley. It might have been Fallon, but you know, and the job's finished up, and I got my exit pay or whatever the hell he called it, and you know, I'm getting ready to go back home. I said, oh yeah, so what were you doing out there? And he says, well, I was welding handcuffs to the inside of rail cars. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? You were what? And for 6 months, you were welding handcuffs to the inside of rail cars, like freight cars. Yeah. Now, you know, this is probably 2011, maybe early 2012. And at that time, that was the first I'd ever heard of anything like that. Now, if you go on, you know, YouTube, or if you Google, you know, handcuffs in rail cars, there's all kinds of videos all over the place. But that was the first I heard of it. So it wasn't, and also we weren't having any type of conspiracy discussion. We weren't talking about, you know, big government and martial law and, you know, 1984 or any of this kind of stuff. We were just making small talk. Oh, really? What were you doing? And then, and since then, we've heard a lot more about the FEMA camps, where the Federal Emergency Management Association, which was brought under the umbrella of Homeland Security under the Bush administration. So it changed the focus of FEMA. And what they've done is there's a lot of dilapidated prisons, there's a lot of shut down military bases, hundreds and hundreds of these things all over the country. And they're refurbishing them and revamping them, and that's what people are calling the FEMA camps. And, you know, so people speculate with a lot of factual backing, I would say, that these are the equivalent of the internment camps where we stuck all the Japanese people during World War II, right? So you have, if you think about it, spending 6 months welding handcuffs to rail cars, that's a lot of fucking handcuffs in rail cars. You know, because I mean, if you're going to spot weld them, how long does it take to weld one handcuff? You know, a minute or two? And you're doing this for 6 months, day in and day out, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day?
This is to, what, export Mexicans?
No, to lock us up. American citizens who stand up against the corruption, the corporate corruption, the greed, the central banks, you know, and say, no, we want our fucking democracy back. And they say, well, you know, and then you say, let's say you have a protest of 3,000 people and one of those people throws a Molotov. Well, then they just lock them all up. You know, and if you have this kind of violence, and we know from past experience that the media totally skews those types of events. We talked about in our last podcast about how we went to a protest with a couple thousand people, came home and saw footage of 3 people supporting the war, and no mention of the 2,000 people that were protesting it, right? So they can easily skew it, and they do it all the time. When people go to demonstrations, you have, you know, a handful, so even 20 people in a protest of, you know, demonstration that consists of 500 people, 20 of them go over and overturn a cop car.
Oh God,
that's all you hear about.
Oh,
that's all you hear.
I've seen local
car.
news showing 5 people picketing outside of a fucking McDonald's for some bullshit reason or something like that. You know what I mean? And it's like, really, you guys are focused on this right now?
So it's easy to skew it. It's easy to say, look. So then what you do is you get people to go, well, government, you better do something about it. These leftist, you know, demonstrators are out of control. And that's where you start getting things like martial law and curfews. And then if you impose a martial law or a curfew, well, your right-wing gun nuts are going to, at that point, hopefully, join up with your left-wing nuts, and then you have a revolution on your hands. And that's what you and I talk about as the clampdown. And I don't think, it's not like there is a shiny, bright rainbow at the end of that. what we're really talking about is absolute destruction, right? I mean, Western culture collapses at that point, and it decimates it. And we could revolutionize ourselves back to the Stone Age. But my thinking
end
with
of
that
times.
is, right, and so of course that's where Christians talk about end times and Armageddon, and they'll be waiting for Jesus to come back, right? And I'm just not convinced of that. And but at that point, once it's all collapsed, once it's devastated, once the infrastructure is decimated, and at that point, we're ripe to build something new, and we're ready to build something to replace it, right? And so at the beginning of this election cycle, I saw it as it doesn't matter, nobody's running, because Bernie hadn't announced yet, that we can get a Republican, which will hasten that. We'll make it happen faster. If a Republican wins, we're going to get there quicker. If a Democrat wins, it's still going to happen, but it's going to be a little more incremental and will prolong it a little bit longer. And then someone like Bernie comes along. And I wasn't quick to get behind him, agreed with everything, totally respected and dug the dude, but it was like, well, what can he really get done? How can he prevent the clampdown? I mean, so I guess for our listeners should know, at least for me, I can't speak for Mike, but it's a foregone conclusion in my mind that this is all what I just described is going to happen. And it is going to happen in our lifetime. I've been saying it for years. And because I don't think that a 1% Bilderberg elite is a viable way for the human species to conduct itself. It has to implode on itself. Billions of people are suffering in the way under the current political, social, religious, economic climate in the world, and it can't last. But you have very, very powerful people who are going to do everything they can to hold on to that and to keep that in place because they love it. They got a bunch of mansions. They can park their boat in their boat and, whatever. And so I just don't foresee any type of president fixing all of that. The president doesn't have enough power, even if he's the greatest president in history, doesn't have the power to undo so much that's been done. And so Bernie came along, and that's one of the reasons I was a little hesitant to get behind it, because I didn't want to get excited about someone that, even if he did everything he wants to, it doesn't really fix all that. But then you start looking at it, you're like, okay, if we do undo Citizens United, if we do educate people, because therein lies the single most important dysfunction in the human species today is the lack of education. People don't know shit. They're dumb as fuck when it comes to facts. And that's why all this is able to happen. So free education is incredibly important. But of course, it takes time for them to become educated. So there's another, it's not an overnight thing, right? And
right.
So when I'm looking at things that Bernie says, education, getting rid of money in politics, fucking redistributing the wealth. Take back from the billionaires what they stole from the poor and the middle class. And goddamn, we're off to a running start. Now we can start passing legislation that's good for the people. Once we've got all these obstacles in the way of democracy out of the way, once we've trampled those, then maybe there's this slim glimmer of hope that we don't have to have the clampdown, that it doesn't have to happen. And so there's so much writing on Bernie becoming president. Again, why it was hard for me to get really behind him, because I didn't want to be fucking let down, bro. In all true honesty, I didn't want to feel like, God damn it, we lost again. I wanted to be prepared. But how do you, and then you got these Bernie or busters who get so mad when you're like, I don't know if he can make it. You have to believe, you have to keep pushing forward. And, okay, you're right, we do. But you got to be prepared for all possible outcomes. And it's more likely that we're going to have a Trump or a Hillary than we are a Bernie. So what the fuck does that mean? And what do we do? Well, we started a podcast. If you're listening,
we're going to talk about it. Podcast. We're going to cry on each other's shoulders.
We're going to talk about it. We're going to say things that even people on our side, the Bernie or busters and stuff, we're going to say things that maybe they don't want to hear either. But we're going to speak up. We're going to put free speech and democracy in action. And whether we're right or wrong, it's kind of a side
Till we
concern. We're gonna
get
try our
chained to a
damnedest.
boxcar.
Right. I don't want my children handcuffed to a fucking boxcar.
Yeah.
You know, and you call me paranoid, tinfoil hat, whatever. But now, just because I say it doesn't mean it's the truth. But hopefully I've given people enough in my description to at least consider the possibility that maybe that could happen. You know, I remember 15 years ago trying to get people to even consider the possibilities that maybe less than 1% of the Earth's population are running the world. And they looked at me like I was insane. You are a wacky conspiracy theorist. Oh, yeah, we didn't land on the moon either, right? Aliens run the government, right, Aaron? You know, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not an insane conspiracy theorist.
Hang on.
And
I
now,
goofed up. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So thanks to Occupy, and then Bernie Sanders kind of picking up, the message of Occupy and running with it, and because it coincided with his own message, more and more people are realizing that us conspiracy theorists 15 fucking years ago were telling the truth. That yes, it's not a crazy conspiracy theory that less than 1% of the Earth's population are running the world, because they are, and everyone's starting to wake up and realize it now. So that gives me hope, right? And so if enough people can realize, hey, look, there's a real good chance we could have the clampdown, maybe that'll get people to wake up. Maybe that'll get people to realize, wait a minute, I don't want that. I don't want open gunfire between citizens and their government in the streets. I don't want to see that happen, because I don't want to fucking see that happen, bro.
Well,
very good people will get
I don't
killed.
own a gun. I don't own a gun.
Well, I don't either. I don't either.
I don't believe it. They're killing machines, and I don't believe in
and then
killing.
we should absolutely make it absolutely clear that I'm not advocating for that. In no way. In fact, the opposite. Absolutely not. I want to be very clear. Absolutely.
Well, let's
not
go this
advocating
way.
For armed revolt in the streets or violence of any kind.
Okay. Basically, what you're talking about. Okay, so let's backtrack just a little bit here. Okay. We're talking about a complete collapse of what capitalism of our
also all of our governmental, social,
our
and
governmental
financial
structure.
institutions.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Exactly, that's what I wanted to say. Basically, kind of like the Wall Street collapse. Okay,
Right.
I mean, and FDR is the one with his New Deal that pulled us out of that, which is what at that time was extremely progressive. So progressive and so loved by everybody. He was elected 4 times. They had to
they had to enact term
they had to
limits
amend the
to make sure it never happened
Constitution.
again.
Right, they had to amend the Constitution for him because he's been elected 4 times already, okay? Now, is that what we're looking at here? I mean, is that best case scenario that we go, okay, we almost had the meltdown in 2008. Fucking bushhead, right? Okay, so is that best case scenario? That it actually does melt down, and God forbid we have armed revolt in the streets? I wanted to say, I mean, I'm kind of a, I want to think that I look on the bright side of things, all right? So I want to think that this arms buildup amongst the civilian population is just due to the gun lobby building up weapons manufacturers. I mean, weapons manufacturers run every other damn part of our government. They might as well own the civilian population as well. Right. So, I mean, I don't want to think that the government is in on the fact that they want armed civilians running around. I don't think that's a good thing at all. Right?
Well, and then, so under my scenario, I would speculate that is what they want. That they want this to happen. They think that they're going to come out of it good if this happens. Now, of course, I don't know that. I've never been invited to a Bilderberg meeting, okay? So it's all speculation.
Right.
And I have to be very clear about
and
that.
Just all of our
and I could be absolutely wrong, okay? But I would speculate that they want that armed revolt. Because in truth, absent some intense resolve, and we can get into that because intense resolve, kept us from winning in Vietnam. It's keeping us from winning in Afghanistan. The populations of those countries are up against insurmountable odds, and they essentially won or are winning, right? So, but my point being that I could have a bunch of M16s, but I can't. How do I take down a fighter jet? How does my collection of guns and hand grenades?
Oh,
stop an
there's
aircraft
guys.
carrier?
Oh, there's guys out there, bro. I've seen them. I've seen them on like Vice and stuff. There's guys out there that have like anti-aircraft weapons in their backyard,
Well,
and it's
sure,
like, what the fuck do you have this for?
But they're
In case
still
I have
not
to
gonna
fight the
take out an
government.
aircraft
Are you
carrier.
out of your
They're not gonna-
mind? Are you?
Right.
You're out of
And
your
so-
mind, right? You think really that your little AK or whatever the fuck it is? Now, here's the only thing, and now we're getting into the whole gun debate, and I got no problem with this because I'd love to talk about this. Mr. Stewart owns a few weapons. Okay, we were here. We were alive. We were around. We were in fucking Los Angeles or in the suburbs of April 29th, 1992, when there was a riot on the streets. Tell me, where were you? I was fucking here watching it on TV. Okay,
That's how it was. I would believe it was at your house.
while you were participating in some anarchy. Okay, no, I was not I was not looting my local store, but they fucking came to Pomona. All right, Pomona burned. Right, when you called the cops, they didn't come.
Right.
If there's looting and shit going on, and you got somebody coming at your door, pounding on your door, and you call the cops and they don't come, now what? Okay, in that respect, I understand the reason to have a gun. When you live, and I've seen these pot guys, these pot growers up in Humboldt County in the Green Triangle.
Oh, they're armed to the teeth.
Yeah, but they live out in the fucking middle of nowhere. So I understand. I'm a total, suburban, Southern California suburban, born and raised dumbass.
Right.
All right. I haven't lived in the backwoods. I have lived in the city my entire life. The farthest I got out of the city was Chino, for God's sake. All right. Margaret and I thought we were bitching because we were on the outskirts, but we still weren't too far from LA because we were going to LA to see shows and stuff. Right. So I don't know what that's like now. My train of thought is I'm going to get me a fucking Rottweiler. Rottweilers are extremely good family dogs. When you have them and from babies, they're extremely good family dogs.
Right, you raise them right.
I'm now old enough to take care of a dog. Okay, I've wanted a dog my entire life, and it's just now that I'm an adult that I can take care of one. I mean, I have Ogden, my lovely Ogden, and he's the proof that I can take care of a dog. You remember Sheena? My Sheena's a punk rocker.
Sheena was a little punk rocker.
She was an awesome little dog. But
she was so awesome.
Right, but I think I just got lucky on her because I didn't have good dogs after that. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Now I kind of know what I'm doing. Ogden's turned out to be a really good dog, and you just spend the time on it. I think I could do the same thing with a Rottweiler. As a pool guy, walking into people's backyards, if I'm confronted with a fucking Rottweiler, I don't care if she's nice or not. I'm like, oh fuck, right?
Right.
So to me, I would much rather have a Rottweiler than have a gun. If I need to protect my house and my family and my kids or whatever, I'm going to get a Rottweiler. I'm not a violent person. I'm not going to go hit somebody. In fact, I will stand there and get hit. You know that. You saw me at the fucking party get my ass beat. Okay? Because I'm not hitting you fuckheads. You goddamn dumbass dirt heads. All right? You beat me up because I have a mohawk. No, I'm not hitting you back.
At a punk show.
At a punk show. Right. So, anyway, so that to me is my kind of defense. But I understand where Stewart's coming from when he says, well, I called the cops, man, they didn't come. And when you're living out in bumfuck Egypt, man, and there's nobody there for miles and miles around, when you call the cops, it's going to take them a half an hour to get to your pad. I call them here in Redlands, and they're on it. Oh, yeah, Redlands is good. I just gave up where I lived. I wasn't going to give up where I lived. But anyway, yeah, I live here where the terrorists live, down the street from where the damn terrorists live. That fucking condo is down the street from my house. Yes. What's her name? I swear there was going to be kids coming out with her name. Fahid Sharouk, I think was her. Fahid something. Anyway, her name was, I can't remember. It'll come to me. But yeah. Anyways, they'll come in a second. So I understand the need for some people to have a gun, but I don't. And I hope that it doesn't revolt to this. I'm hoping that this political revolution that we're calling for will not be violent. But we've already seen violence in the streets at the Trump rallies. Violence. These people get violent. And the problem I feel too is that we are so desensitized to violence. I grew up on fucking Bugs Bunny Roadrunner. Oh my God, beat the hell out of that poor dude, right? But I look at the ads you see now on TV today for these video games, bro. I can't deal with them. The army games. Okay, so not only are you desensitizing, you're blowing the fuck out of people. You actually, or what was that martial art game where you're karate chopping the shit out of people, right? And it's like you're beating people up. You're shooting people. You're killing people. You're call to duty. You're a war dude, and you're going to blowing people up. All right, wait. I've seen enough guys and seen enough shit about guys that have been in war to know that when you kill people, it fucks your shit up.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, you killed another person. That's gotta fuck your shit up. It'd fuck my shit up. Right? I mean, you see some horrible shit. Okay? And I think that's bullshit. And I think the main reason that these guys end up going to war, one, may be because of their family, but two, is to get a goddamn education, which is exactly the reason I'm on camp with Bernie. Okay? Right. If you have a free education, you don't have to go to fucking war to get an education. And you don't have to go kill people because the establishment tells you you have to. And it's not about, defending my freedom, bitch. My freedom's guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States. All right? You're out there defending the interests of our government, which is run by huge corporations in other countries, to rape and pillage their natural resources. Let's not start with Africa.
Right.
We're already in the Middle East fucking up their shit over oil. Let's not get into the minerals and shit that's coming up from Africa, which is the place that looks like our whole Earth started from. That was like the center of our Earth when it was created.
Right.
That's why all the good shit's there.
The pyramid of Giza sits on
Giza X?
The centermost point of all landmass on the planet.
There you go. I'm just saying.
Very interesting.
I'm just saying.
So this is the thing. Here it is, Mike. The point is, this is not. We're at quite possibly the most pivotal point in human history.
Oh, they say that all the damn time.
That sounds hyperbolic, but it's the truth. This isn't just about, man, our government's corrupt, we need to fix it so we can vote for stuff better. It's about the life of the planet. It's about the existence of human culture and society, and it's I mean, literally everything is at stake. Everything, the entire world. You really
think it's at that point?
People during the Cold War could conceive of mutually assured destruction. Mad, right? They could foresee the very viable possibility that we would destroy the entire planet in a nuclear war. But what we're not seeing now is that we're destroying ourselves by taking our free. We're looking at being a depopulated slave culture to a handful of billionaires. It's even more extreme than royal families and stuff and feudal eras and stuff, because the planet is at stake too. The environment is at stake, society is at stake, all of it. And I just don't know that a president can do that. So that's why I'm not a Bernie supporter. Okay, I'm a human being supporter who likes things that this guy Bernie Sanders is saying because it falls in line with some of the things that I believe, and I'm willing to throw my support behind him. But we have a huge road ahead of us, and people aren't realizing that. And so what do we do from here? Whether Bernie wins or not, we have to keep going forward and getting people educated to how our human population is actually structured. Because there is no such thing as democracy anymore. People need to fucking realize it. Democracy is gone. And a handful of people are running the world in service of their own self-interests at the expense of everybody else and the planet. So what do we do about it?
More people are realizing that. Hence the Trump movement. Hence it's not called Trump a movement unless you're going to call him a bowel movement. The Trump supporters as well as the Bernie Sanders movement. More people are figuring out that the system is skewed against them, and it's truth.
And it is true. And that was one of the things I talked about with my buddy Abear, who's a huge activist on the East Coast. He runs his Abear podcast, and He's a dyed in the wool 100% socialist, like a real socialist, not a Bernie New Deal Democrat. Okay, he's a true socialist, and so he didn't get behind Bernie, but he was able to acknowledge and agreed with me that, okay, but if Bernie says the things that he's saying, it expands the dialogue and gets people walking down a different road that could ultimately lead to them understanding bigger and broader concepts. Like, Bernie's message still isn't even the do-all end-all of what needs to be done. It's a great jumping off point. And that's ultimately why I said, fuck it, I'm going in for him. Because people are going to hear his message, they're going to learn about this corruption, and they're going to go, okay, wait a minute, the mainstream media is actually corrupt? Well, where do I start looking for alternate media? Okay, so now they're up off their fucking ass. Now they're going, all right, I have to make a little effort in order to be properly informed. And then the stuff that they're going to get informed to is going to light that fire in their ass a little more. Right? So that's what we do. We just keep talking to people. We keep doing this. We keep telling people there's better ways. There's better ways, you know? And it's like, I don't want to lead with do this or the world's doomed, you know, but that has to be intertwined in the conversation, that there's a very real possibility that we're doomed, but we don't have to be.
Well, Margaret Ann...
Isn't free education better than bombing people? Isn't giving people food better than bombing people? Isn't rebuilding a mosque or a hospital in the Middle East better than bombing the mosque or the hospital in the Middle East?
No, because we have this Zionistic, imperialistic ideology in this country that we are Christian, we have the right to do this, and it's for our best, and it's for your best too. And it's the same ideology that we Americans had back in the 1700s, 1800s with Manifest Destiny, which is what you started with earlier. Right? We know what the fuck is best for the Native American people here. No, you fucking don't. They've been here longer. So, I mean,
the choices are big.
I'm not. Well, see, I wanted to say I am a Bernie supporter. Okay, I do support Senator Sanders. I believe that if he gets on board, he will do everything in his power to do this. And because of his tenure in Congress, has proved that he's talked the same things all the time. Okay, as well as been able to move in a more progressive way from his stance as well. Oh, if he looks at something and goes, well, you know what, maybe I need to go a little bit more left of that. He's been able to do that. And it always seems to have gone left in at least from what I've seen, in my experience.
So it's a win-win in supporting Bernie. Even if he doesn't get the nomination, even if he doesn't become president, you still got to push and support him because
I have to.
You're supporting a man, you're supporting an idea.
Well, I am. The bottom line is I don't get to vote until next month, and we've got a bunch of primaries over here, and most of this side of the country is liberal, unfortunately, for my Republican conservative friends. But you understand, I mean, and I would really like to get into conversations with my Republican conservative friends. I mean, I have 86, most of them from Facebook, because I can't deal with their bullshit. And I get really pissed off really easily, especially if I've had a few beers in me. But I would like to ask them at this point, you talk about your conservative. My cousin Jennifer, okay, in Salt Lake City, okay. She's awesome. I love this girl. All right. But her family has been Republican their entire life. And so I hit her up about something. She made a comment on Facebook, and I said, what do you have against liberal ideas? And she's like, oh, nothing. I said, what do you have against liberals? She's like, oh, nothing. Some of my best friends are liberals. I just have a family reputation to keep up. The fuck does that mean? Are you fucking kidding me? Honey, you are struggling. Your family struggles just like I do, paycheck to paycheck. You're supporting a young kid, who I think has a learning disability. Awesome kid, awesome family, beautiful kid, right? I'm just saying, they live paycheck to paycheck. Honey, if you think about it, we have the same ideas. We're in the same place. We're going through the same things. Why? What part of conservative fiscal conservatism? I'm
Well, that's
down
what
for
it didn't
fiscal
work.
so that you think that the government should spend less money. I'm pretty much down with that, unless they're spending it on social things. Because the bottom line is, I pay taxes. So if I'm paying something, I would like to get something for that. All right. Now, I would be much happier if you didn't spend, so much of the money that I'm giving you. I'm pretty sure it's more than 50%. And I believe there's a website that you can actually go and it'll tell you, it'll break it down how much you pay for each thing. But I believe it's over 50% that I pay for fucking the military-industrial complex. So if anybody knows how to register as a conscientious objector to paying your fucking taxes, let me know, because I totally object to that. I mean, I won't want my taxes going for that. I'm sorry. I want my taxes going for social programs that might help me or my neighbor next door who I see struggling on a daily basis to pay his bills, that kind of thing. So when it
And
comes
that's
to,
what this is.
I don't believe in hiring. Check this out. Margaret Ann's brother worked in Iraq. Okay? You know what he did? He fixed doorknobs. He replaced doorknobs for the troops. Because when you come home drunk from a night out and you can't find your key, it's just easier to break the fucking door in. Really? This is your job, dude? I mean, I'm glad you're making money. Okay?
And he was making more than any of those soldiers were, too.
But it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, he was working for a contractor, so he probably was.
Yeah, no, he
Okay.
definitely was.
Right. Let's be a little bit more fiscally conservative about this stuff. All right? And let's look at some of the things that the government is spending money on. So if you want to talk fiscal conservancy, yeah, I'm down for that. My first thing, cut the goddamn military.
Okay, look, I want to make this point, and then we should probably get close to wrapping it up.
Well, yeah, I've got a couple songs. I was going to play a few more songs, and you want to go into a third segment, or you want to wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up, and we can talk about maybe doing a midweek cast too, because we didn't get into music, and let's do one in a couple days, and we'll just talk about lighter topics. We'll get into art and music and punk rock and stuff, and the X show. And
oh yeah, we could do that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, let's do that. And then what I wanted to say was, there's been a lot of press come out, and people are starting to understand this whole concept that the Republican Party took on since Nixon, which was the Southern strategy. People are realizing.
Yes, I heard that brought up this week.
The Republican Party sold them a bunch of bullshit social issues to get support from people so that they could then get in power and then pass a bunch of legislation that was good for big business. So they exploited racism, they exploited homophobia, and the abortion issue in order to scare people into voting Republican, not so that they could do anything about the gay issue, the abortion issue, or, push racist legislation. I mean, they did a little bit here and there because it's kind of like, well, look, so we did this. We passed this disgusting law in Carolina about LGBTs in bathrooms, so that makes people convinced, okay, yeah, they're on this page. But really, all they're doing, and that's all. And also, I should point out that a lot of people may not know this, but in that legislation in South Carolina for the LGBT bathroom law, there's a stipulation in that law that says if the federal government passes a law that raises the minimum wage to $15 an hour, that North Carolina, or South Carolina, I forget which one, but that they don't, that they are prohibited from honoring that law.
North Carolina.
So basically, that law is about making sure that the fucking minimum wage doesn't go up in that state. But they couched it in, some transvestite's going to rape your kid in the bathroom.
That's just how they push
the Republican Party. And that is the Republican Party, and Republicans are waking up.
But the Republican Party is in a freaking uproar right now.
Right.
Uproar.
And they're waking up to it. And that should give you hope. Now,
well, I'm hoping
granted,
that Republicans, not the party itself, but I mean, people like me and you that identify. I mean, bro, I think about my friends I grew up with that my church friends. They're all Republican. I think about my cousin Jennifer, Republican. These people, my dear, dear friend Linda Porter Jones, Okay, they live in a little house in Long Beach that they've lived in since they were married, basically. Okay, and they are just down in the dirt, working class people. Okay, and they have 5 or 6 kids, 7 kids, something like that. I don't even know. Beautiful family, but they're just like me and you, bro. They're just working day to day, trying to make a living. Yet she is
Sure.
so Republican, and I want to go. I just want to like hug her and go, Linda, dude, listen to what's going on here. Look at what's going on. Why are you supporting this party? Look at what it's
Well, there it is.
talking
Well,
about.
here it is, Mike.
I understand your religion. I understand that your religion tells you that homosexuals are not okay. I understand that, okay? But your religion also tells you not to judge, and it's not your place. And if they're going to live this so-called lifestyle, okay, that's not your fucking business. Let it go
Well, here
and
it is, Mike.
do what you're going to do.
Let's leave this on a good note, and I'll say this. So, us on the left are never going to convince those on the right. These people who are waking up and realizing the Republican Party is absolutely full of shit, and that they sold these people on these issues, so they've bought them. They've bought into them 100%, and they're bullshit issues. Okay, no transvestite is going to rape your daughter in the bathroom. They just want to fucking take a shit. Okay, that's all they want to do.
They don't even want to do that. They probably just want to pee, for God's sake. But still,
but
they don't
sold
understand.
them on it. They've sold it. Now listen, and they've internalized it. Okay, the Republican constituency.
Horrible argument.
Not the ones in Washington. They've internalized this stuff, and they've made it a part of their belief structure. And now the wool's being pulled out from their eyes, and they're seeing that their Republican Party is full of shit and actually doesn't care about those issues. Okay? And then that is a first step into them realizing that actually the issues themselves are bullshit too. And that's the beginning. So, all these people that are getting behind Trump, they're obviously misguided. Okay? They're focusing a very real, a very demonstrably true idea that
kid's stepdad. Same
that
thing.
this stuff is that this party that they support is corrupt and wrong and only cares about big business. So there's a beginning. Now the focus of that righteous understanding is misguided, and they're rallying behind Trump because they think he's the guy. So maybe if he wins, maybe they realize, holy shit, even this dude is a piece of shit. It's gonna take the failures, the immense failures of the Republican Party to get these people to realize that what they bought into is wrong. So maybe in that way of thinking, a Trump presidency could be good. Because look, at the end of the Bush administration, Republicans were not happy with their party. It's funny because...
No, because he wasn't even invited to the last Republican convention.
No, that's right. And if you look at it, like there was a great skit on SNL at the time where it's Will Ferrell being Bush with McCain in the Oval Office, and Bush is basically trying to say, "Hey, I'm going to support you, and I'm going to endorse you," and McCain's like trying to divert him from giving him the endorsement. Please, I really don't want your endorsement, right? To where you have in the debates now, Hillary, one of her talking points against Bernie is, "You ain't behind the president enough." Like that alone, because you didn't support Bernie, because you're not supporting Obama, because Obama's favorability ratings are huge. And I don't think they're very high with you and I, but for the nation, they really like Obama.
Well, it's like we've said in the past, it would be worse under Romney, and who knows what the hell it would have been under McCain.
Right. Well, of course. But so my point being, though, that the Republican constituency, the average Joe on the street, has been blocked from educating themselves. They've been encouraged to not question.
It's too, right? Of course, because it's too easy.
Their brainwashing tells them that don't listen to the left, they'll brainwash you. Right? So anytime you come, that's why I said the left can never convince them, because the right has done such a good job of
I don't believe in the brainwashing part. But go ahead. I don't believe it's brainwashing.
Well-
No, it's just distraction. It's huge distraction. It's like there's basketball on.
Well,
Wait a
it's
minute, there's football
brainwashing,
on.
Mike, because it's
Wait a minute,
convinced
there's
them-
who's dancing with the fucking stars. It's just let's dazzle you and razzle dazzle you while we fuck
And
you
that's
from behind.
brainwashing. That is brainwashing. That's propaganda and brainwashing.
And
That's
it's
what
easy.
it is.
It's easy to turn on. Well, it's Fox News. Fox News is totally about that. But
And
now
that
it's,
it won't- and
it's
has
trickled
convinced them
into
that if
trickle
you
down
listen
theory
to
into
liberals,
MSNBC and CNN.
If you listen to liberals, you will be brainwashed by them. They are brainwashed. You can't listen to them. So anytime, even if you raise a very incontrovertibly valid argument
don't
from
matter.
the left, they're like, nah, that's liberal brainwashing. Okay? So
From
they
the,
have,
liberal,
it's a
from
huge
the
road.
quote
But they're
unquote liberal
starting to wake up.
media, yes, they're starting to wake up. So on that note, people are starting to wake up. When you
They are, on both sides.
finally fucking smell the coffee, find us on Twitter, Punks for Progress, at Punks for Progress, Punks for the number 4 Progress. Subscribe to our YouTube page, right? Punks for Progress.
FOR
Yes.
Progress on YouTube.
You're right. Just Punks for Progress on YouTube, and then
And like and share our
Punks
Facebook
for
page,
Bernie.
Punks for Bernie. And
Share
hey,
it.
man, we're open to
Get it
discussion
on.
on these and all topics, man. Hit us up. Let us have
Please,
it. You disagree?
tweet-
Let's hear it.
tweet the hell out of us.
All right.
All right. Hey, dude, it's good talking to you, man. Love you.
Good talking to you. Love you too, man.
All right.
And tune in. We'll have another one up this week where we'll just talk fun stuff, art and punk rock and music and shit.
Sounds good, man. Talk to you later.
Cool. Later.
Bye.